Live from Los Angeles, The Story Is with Alex Michelson.
They've wasted a week. Well, we've been diligently trying to, move the negotiations and the talks forward. But I wish Republicans were more serious about getting a budget. We're certainly, on the verge of having the department shut down.
Story is another potential partial government shutdown that could happen as soon as Friday if lawmakers can't agree on funding for the Department of Homeland Security. Democrats have a list of demands, including judicial warrants to apprehend suspects and a ban on masks for federal agents. Joining me now to talk about all this and more is Republican strategist Matt Klink, owner and president of Klink Campaigns Incorporated, and Fabian Nunez, managing partner at Actum, plus the former Democratic Speaker of the California Assembly. Gentlemen, welcome back to The Story Is. Great to see both of you. Matt, let's start with you. Are we going to have a government shutdown?
Probably about 90% probability.
Wow. Why is that?
Well, because the Democrats are doing this to make a statement, but what they're not telling the American public is that ICE and Border Control, they already have funding guaranteed for the next 4 years. So what's going to happen is if the government closes, the TCA, the Coast Guard, FEMA, and other agencies that have very little or nothing to do with the border or immigration are going to close down. So all this is for the Democrats to make a political statement to their radical left-wing base.
Do you agree with that?
No, not at all. I mean, I think this is really about the Democrats meeting the moment, responding to the crisis in which our country is in. If you look at the things, you mentioned some of them, the demands that the Democrats are making, these are basic things. If you're law enforcement and you want to apprehend someone, you need to go get a court order to be able to do that. The FBI does it, the CIA does it, local law enforcement does it. Why is ICE?
Every cop gets a judicial warrant before they arrest somebody?
Well, no, before they go into someone's home. But the way they're operating right now is ICE is operating above the law. And the question here is that the way in which they're going about conducting these operations is clear violations of rights of citizens and legal residents. And if you look at the numbers, the vast majority of the people that they're apprehending are not hardened criminals like they say they are. That's just rhetoric. And so I think the Democrats...
There was a CBS story that came out today that showed only about 14% of the people are convicted violent criminals.
And 1.7% are gang members. But the point is that this requires a response. This is the type of thing like when President Trump said to the states, hey, I want Texas to help me out here. Give me some more congressional seats. How did California respond? By putting Prop 50 on the ballot. I think the Democrats in Congress are finally standing up for the values of this country, and I think it's the right thing to
Alex,
do.
if administrative warrants were good enough to apprehend illegal aliens when Bill Clinton was president, why aren't they good enough now? The Democrats are moving the goalposts, again, to appease the radicals in their party that want open borders and no immigration enforcement. The Democrats have moved on this issue, not the Republicans.
They have moved on this issue, but the facts have also moved on this issue, and some of the optics have moved on this issue as well.
Well,
I mean, isn't there some of that?
You talked about CBS, for example. CBS says violent criminals. That leaves out drug trafficking, criminal pornography distribution, burglary, DUI that can result in deaths, smuggling, arson. All of these things endanger communities. We don't need these people in this country.
But this is the rhetoric, right? The
but
rhetoric.
It's true.
No,
it's not rhetoric.
The rhetoric in apprehending the people that the government is going after, they are violating the rights of Latinos and people of color in this country, and it's looking more and more like a type of racism that we are conducting in this country against people of color. We need to respect the rights of all people in this country. And these ICE agents are operating above the law. They're not taught to de-escalate. They escalate.
But at the same time, there is no right to be in this country illegally.
No.
And shouldn't there be isn't there a right for citizens to have people who are here illegally potentially taken out of here?
Yeah, but that's not the question with ICE. That's not the question with ICE. The question with ICE right now is who are they apprehending and how are they getting to the people that they claim are the actual criminals. And how they're getting to them is by addressing a tactic that says if you are a person of color, you're automatically under suspicion of being an undocumented person. And then they come and they violate your rights. It's not fair. If ICE agents come to your house, Matt, and they, without a warrant, and they go and they take a family member of yours, and they don't even tell you what they're doing. They put someone in a detention facility, which is like a concentration camp, basically.
Ridiculous.
And then
flat out ridiculous.
No, it's not ridiculous.
Yes, it is.
It's what's happening in America
many
today.
Ridiculous. They are much better than when Barack Obama was president. I'll tell you that.
This is a real problem in our country, and I think it's the right thing for Democrats to stand up for this. And by the way, it's not just the Democrats. The entire country is changing the view.
When we say concentration camp, you're not talking about like Auschwitz or something like that, which was a death camp. Right?
Well, there's a difference. There's a difference between an extermination camp and a concentration camp. These facilities where people are apprehended are not giving their rights. They have to sleep on the floor. You have women and children having to sleep on the floor, where they're taking little kids.
You mean those pictures when Obama was president?
Cruelty. Yeah. Well, that really started with Trump, by the way, when they were taking the kids and putting them in detention facilities and cages. Incidentally, this is why Trump lost his re-election the first time. Because the American people did not like the fact that he was putting children in these cages.
Well, and there was COVID.
Yeah, that was
COVID.
It's a little more complex than that.
That was a thing.
COVID played a role, but
yes, there was a lot going on in that election. But all these sort of cultural inflection points also on display this weekend with this Bad Bunny halftime performance, which became way more than a halftime performance. It became like a cultural Rorschach's test, depending on different people saw that in different ways. The governor of California, Gavin Newsom, who could be the Democratic nominee, there calling it Happy Bad Bunny Day. Meanwhile, President Trump responding right afterwards on Truth Social, saying how horrible it was and how it was basically an affront to America. And then the Turning Point USA people have a competing halftime show that has millions of viewers. What do you make of the politics of this moment?
Well, I think it was a beautiful thing in the midst of these times where Latinos and people of color in the U.S. Feel under siege, that finally we have an opportunity to be recognized in the Super Bowl, and to have somebody like Bad Bunny put on such a beautiful cultural display of love and of inclusiveness, I think was very important. Obviously, I know some people turned that off and went to a different show, and those, I think, tend to be people who had buyer's remorse, kind of post-Civil War buyer's remorse, because they don't like the cultural inclusiveness, they don't like diversity, they want folks to represent one America. And they don't believe in the America where others participate. They want a different type of America. And I think this celebration was very, very powerful, because what it said to people of color in this country is, yes, we're important, yes, we matter, and yes, we're part of the fabric of this society.
You're shaking your head.
First of all, I don't watch the Super Bowl to watch the halftime show. That's when I reload on my food of choice and my beverage of choice. I know most of my friends do that as well. Look, I could. Bad Bunny's music, it's not what I'm into at all. I don't like it, so it wouldn't have mattered for me anyway. I don't care that he played at halftime. 130 million people still saw him, so clearly he had a captive audience.
Biggest audience in the history of the Super Bowl.
My friends who speak Spanish, they couldn't understand him either. So, I mean, I guess it would have been nice to have subtitles. I would have liked to know what he was saying, had I watched it. So, again, much to do about nothing. Not everything in this country needs to be political.
Well, I mean,
so
then why did Donald Trump post about it right afterwards?
By the way, it's interesting because I don't understand all the Puerto Rican slang myself, but I suppose that there were a number of people who really also speak about bilingualism now, saying, hey, it's not a crime to speak Spanish.
Yeah.
It's okay to be bilingual in this country, or trilingual. So I think it was a very positive thing, and I think the Super Bowl and the National Football League deserves some level of gratitude for
I
what they
guarantee
did.
you that Goodell got more grief than praise today for putting Bad Bunny on at halftime.
Well, but if you think about the NFL's mission right now is to expand into other countries, including a lot of Spanish-speaking countries, that could have been a very successful thing for him. And it was very powerful being there, watching it, that the last message on the big screen up there was that the only thing more powerful than hate is love, which is a great thing that hopefully is a bipartisan message. Fabian, Matt, thank you both so much. Great discussion. We always appreciate it.